Hi guys, it's Andy from Man City Fan TV and welcome to the predictions video, game week 17. This week we've got games on Saturday, Sunday and another one on Monday evening. So if we just go through the games quickly. On Saturday, the early kickoff at 12:30 is Liverpool at home to Watford. And then we've got a run of 3 o'clock kickoffs, and they are Burnley at home to Newcastle, Chelsea at home to Bournemouth, Leicester at home to Norwich City, Sheffield United at home to Aston Villa. Then the late kickoff on Saturday, 17:30, is Southampton versus West Ham United. On to Sunday's games. Well, the 2 o'clock kickoff is Manchester United at home to Everton and Wolverhampton Wanderers at home to Tottenham. The late kickoff is the 16:30 kickoff, and that is Arsenal versus ourselves, and that is Manchester City. And then Monday night, the last game to round off game week 17, that is Crystal Palace against Brighton, and that kicks off at 7:45. So as usual on these prediction videos, we've got Kiam, Martin and Ryan Corrie. So the first one I'm going to kick off this week. Let's swap it around a bit and let's go for Mr. Negativity, and let's go and see what Kiam thinks about the prediction for this week's game. Certainly Arsenal versus Manchester City. So over to Kiam.
Thanks, Andy. Appreciate you having me on again, mate. Here are my scores for game week 17. So got to try and recover a little bit. It wasn't my best week last week. So here we go. Liverpool 4, Watford 0. I think Liverpool are going to win that game comfortably. I think Mo Salah coming back into a bit of form as well. He scored a fantastic goal from a crazy angle the other day in the Champions League. I think they'll have no trouble at all disposing of Watford at home. Next one is Burnley versus Newcastle. I've gone for Burnley 1, Newcastle United 2. Now, I think Newcastle are playing quite well at the moment, and I think Burnley are struggling. We saw them a week or so ago when we played them. They weren't very good. They're not playing the pressing game. I think Newcastle will cope with Burnley's midfield, and I think Newcastle have got a little bit more about them, and they'll get the win. Next one, Chelsea 2, Bournemouth 0. I think it's going to be a routine victory for Frank Lampard's men at home. Can't see any problems at all. Yes, Bournemouth have a little bit of pace on the break, but they usually play well at home. They don't play well on the road, so I'm going to go with Chelsea. Next one, Leicester City versus Norwich, the title challengers, Leicester City. I've gone for a 3-1 victory to Leicester, so I think Leicester will keep marching on. I think they'll concede a goal to Norwich, but they will be too strong for Norwich overall, and they will go forward and win that game. They'll add another 3 points to their tally. Sheffield United versus Aston Villa, I've gone for a 1-1 draw. I think that's going to be a pretty even game. I think they'll cancel each other out. Sheffield probably take the lead. Aston Villa claw one back, but I can't see a winner in that match. Next one, Southampton versus West Ham. Now, this one is a tricky one, but I think West Ham are in trouble. I really do think they're struggling. So I actually fancy Southampton with the home crowd to go on and win this one by 2-1. I think Pellegrini's under real pressure. He may have been sacked by the time this audio comes out on the channel, but he's a dead man walking at the moment, and it's sad really because we love Pellegrini. He obviously won trophies at City. I hope West Ham do win the game, but I have a feeling Southampton will take all 3 points. Next one, Manchester United versus Everton. Obviously, the open top bus was out for them last week. They managed to win the We Beat Man City trophy, so those guys were happy last week. They're playing Everton at home. Everton, yes, they got a good win against Chelsea last week, but it's going to be the battle of parking the bus because both of these teams park the bus, so it's going to come down to who has the better players on the counter-attack, and I think that's pretty clear. It's going to be Manchester United. So I've gone for 2-0 Manchester United in that game. Next one, Wolverhampton Wanderers versus Spurs. So Wolves are usually pretty strong at home, but I think Spurs under a Mourinho will be quite well set up and able to cope with Wolves. Also, they've got some good players on the break. They've got Son. They've got the likes of Dele Alli. So I think this one will end Wolves 1, Spurs 2. The next game is our game. It's Arsenal versus Manchester City. And again, I'm not happy at the moment with the way we're defending. Yes, we had a good win in the week when we played some of the kids against Zagreb, but that was a total dead rubber, so it didn't matter at all. I think we're really poor defensively. I think we're going to struggle. The Arsenal crowd are going to treat this one just as the United crowd did last week. It's their World Cup. It's the biggest game of the season for them at the Emirates. And it's going to end up Arsenal 3, City 1. I think we're really going to struggle. And that's not the greatest thing for me to say, because City should be going to Arsenal and absolutely wiping the floor with them. Arsenal have been poor this season, but I think they're going to have a little bit of a lift. They may even have a new manager in by the weekend. Probably not. It'll probably be Freddie Ljungberg. But I just fancy Arsenal to turn us over, unfortunately. Next one is Crystal Palace against Brighton. So I've gone for Crystal Palace 2, Brighton Hove Albion 1, and purely on a home, just on a home bias there. I've gone for the Crystal Palace team to pick up a win at home. Brighton, they're a decent side. They're not too bad. They're quite well organised. But I think Palace at home crowd behind them, running at Brighton will just have a bit too much for them. So those are my predictions, Andy, for game week 17. Big thank you for having me on again, and wish everyone the very best with their predictions. Take care.
Thanks, Kiam. And, well, you are topping the table, so we can't really argue with your predictions, but let's hope that is not the result this weekend. So let's go over to Martin.
Cheers, and Martin here, Man City Man TV, again with my predictions. So, going to start off with Liverpool against Watford. Very, very easy game this for Liverpool. 3-0. Very convincing win. I can't see any other result than just Liverpool wiping the floor with Watford. Just can't see it. So, over at Clanfield, I've got to go Liverpool 3, Watford 0. Going to move over to Burnley at home to Newcastle. Burnley are not having a good time at the moment, but I think they'll get something out of a very positive and rejuvenated Newcastle United team under Stevie Bruce. But I've got a feeling this is where Burnley could start a little bit of a fight back, and I've gone for a very entertaining 2-2 draw here. I just got a feeling this is going to be a cracker of a game, and that's why I've gone for 2-2. My next one, I've gone for Chelsea at home to beat Bournemouth 2-1, close game. I think the Chelsea youngsters now are going to have to start watching the back a little bit, because obviously the transfer ban is lifted. They can now start bringing in different players, and they're going to have to start fighting for their future now, some of these Chelsea players, which I don't think they thought they were going to have to do. Now they're going to have to do. So, change of game, you're going to have to change their game plan a little bit now, Chelsea, because some of these youngsters are now going to be watched even more closely than what they were before, because they could be replaced within a matter of weeks. And Frank Lampard's already said he's going to do that. He's going to replace, some players, they're going to replace Hazard, or they're going to try and replace Hazard. If they can do it in January, it's not a very good month to try and buy players of that quality, but they're going to try and do it. So I imagine Chelsea are going to spend a lot of money in January to make up for not buying anyone in the summertime. And I just think they'll get over the line just. Bournemouth will show guts, they'll show determination, but they just haven't got the quality to get anything at Stamford Bridge, I'm afraid. The next one we're going to look at is Leicester City against Norwich. Again, I just see a convincing home win here. 3-0 I've gone for. 3-1. I say 3-0. 3-1. Do think Norwich will score, actually, because I do think Norwich, I've got a goal in them as a team, but I just think Leicester, the way they play, Jamie Vardy, they've gone back playing some good football, gone back to the good times that they had under Claudio Ranieri, and they're in a title race, and they're going to have to start realising that now. And I just think 3-1 to Leicester City quite convincingly. Sheffield United at home to Aston Villa. Again, I've gone for a home win. Sheffield United 2, Aston Villa 1. I just think Sheffield United will have just a little bit too much for Aston Villa. I think it'll be a tough game, a close game, a highly fought game. But I just by two promoted teams who are doing really, really well and surprised a lot of people within the Premier League so far, especially Chris Wilder's team. But I just got a sneaky feeling if they were at Villa Park, I'd probably say Villa had a squeak. But I just think Sheffield United have just a touch too much. 2-1 win to Sheffield United. Then I've gone to a game that I think is going to be absolutely boring and awful to watch, which I've gone for Southampton 1, West Ham United 1. Pellegrini is hanging by his fingernails to this job over at the Olympic Stadium, and I just think this is not going to do him any favours whatsoever. And I just think this is going to be a boring game. 1-1. Southampton don't score a lot of goals. West Ham United concede goals, and they don't obviously score that many either. I've just gone for 1-1. You could see West Ham, the confidence drain out of them. They were 1-up against Arsenal and coasting, and they got beat 3-1. How? I don't know. So yeah, I've gone for 1-1. These two are in a relegation fight. An early 6 points in the 6-pointer earlier on the season, but I think it's going to be a dour 1-1 draw. Then over to Scaffold United over at Old Scaffold, the Scaffolding marketing advertisement board. I've gone for a 3-1, 3-0. Manchester United 3, Everton 0. Just don't fancy Everton at all. I know they're going to be a little bit rejuvenated under Big Dunk or Big Duncan Ferguson, but United at home, they're on a run of form. They've just beat Tottenham. They've just beaten us. I don't see any other result other than a spanking really here for Everton, especially with the pace and the power they've got going up top. I don't think Everton will live with them at all. Sorry, Carl, you won't be happy. But no, 3-0 all day long. Manchester United continue their good run of form. 3 wins in a row for them, in my opinion. Then over to Molineux, what I think will be a cracker of a game. Wolverhampton Wanderers against Tottenham Hotspur, and I've gone for a 2-2 draw. Now, Jose won't be very happy with this, Jose Mourinho. Obviously, a defensive manager won't like conceding 2 goals. He'll probably like scoring the 2 goals, though. But I think Wolves, they're the draw specialists, aren't they? I just fancy another 2-2 draw again. But we'll have to see, because, I'll see what happens during the midweek with the Champions League and obviously Wolves in the Europa League. Could that have an effect? We don't know. But I expect a really good game, a really high-quality game of good football, but I'm going for 2-2. I just can't split them. That's my opinion. Then, the big one, Sunday, 4:30 kickoff, Arsenal against City live at the Emirates. I've gone for an Arsenal 1, Manchester City 2. Just a squeak for City. I fancy us to get a 3 points, get back onto winning ways, get the positiveness back within the team, within the squad, within the whole thing to do with Manchester City, the fan base, everyone. And I think it's going to be a big 3 points away at Arsenal. But again, we have to be careful. We have to be so careful on the counter here, because they've got pace and power up front with Pepe, who's starting to get a little bit of form now. Aubameyang, come on. And I know the guy doesn't want to sign a new contract reportedly, but wow, what a striker. I'd love to have had him at City when we were linked with him a year or 2 ago. But I tell you what, I think Aubameyang will score, but I think City will just have a little bit too much quality, especially with Arsenal's back line with Freddie Ljungberg still in charge. And also, is this a game where Arteta begins his talks with Arsenal. We don't know, but I think we'll probably know more Monday or Tuesday of early next week. But yeah, City, just a squeak, 2-1 win. Final game of the weekend. Well, final game of the week 17 of the Premier League, or game 17, is Crystal Palace against Brighton and Hove Albion. And I've gone for a Crystal Palace defeat, an away win for Brighton and Hove Albion. Graham Potter's meant to get a big 3 points here. Crystal Palace 1, Brighton and Hove Albion 2. I like Brighton. I like the way they play football. I like Graham Potter as a manager. He's a good football philosopher. And I just think Crystal Palace, they're a bit of a hot and cold team. 1 week they'll do great. Another week they'll do really badly. And every time I go for a positive result for Crystal Palace, they just don't come up trumps. So, I'm going to try it the other way this week. And I'm going to go for a Brighton 2-1 away win. This is the big derby for these, There's no love lost between these two sides. None at all. They don't like each other. It's clear as anything. But I just think Brighton will be going away the much happier team here. So Brighton 2, Crystal Palace 1. I'm going to hand it back over to the man, the myth, the legend, Andy. Back over to you, buddy. Man City Man TV, and as always, up the Blues.
Thanks, Martin, for those predictions, and let's see if you can climb the table and get as close as to Kiam as you possibly can. Well, we're going to hand over now to our Discord channel, the presenter, and that is Ryan.
Hello guys, it's Ryan with my predictions for game week 17. So I have gone with Liverpool 4, Watford 0, Burnley 0, Newcastle 1, Chelsea 2, Bournemouth 1, Leicester 6, Norwich 0, Sheffield United 2, Aston Villa 0, Southampton 1, West Ham 2, Man United 0, Everton 2, Wolves 1, Spurs 3, Arsenal 2, Manchester City 4, and Crystal Palace 1, Brighton 1. So I'll start with City. We can't defend. Arsenal also can't defend. I think it all just depends on if we can take our chances, which some games we can, some games we can't. But hopefully this game we do, and run out winners. Right, so to the top, Liverpool beating Watford 4-0. Watford, 1 win all season. Haven't even got to 10 goals yet, I don't think. It's just going to be very routine, you'd assume. Burnley Newcastle could go either way, could be a draw. I've got my Newcastle prediction wrong the last 2 weeks. Probably get it wrong again, but we'll go with 1-0 Newcastle. Chelsea beating Bournemouth. I think Bournemouth's striker is injured. I think he recently got injured, so I can't see them having much threat really. Chelsea still in fairly decent form. Obviously they had the trip against West Ham, but they should have run out winners there. Leicester, Norwich, routine. Leicester don't concede. Norwich don't really defend. Leicester can run out routine winners there. Sheffield, Villa. I like Sheffield, but they don't score a lot, but they don't concede many either. Whereas Villa, I don't think Villa have much about them other than Jack Grealish and Big John McGinn. So I think that can be a nice, simple win for Sheffield United and some lovely fantasy points for me. Southampton, West Ham. Again, could go either way. Southampton still in the bottom 3, despite Danny Ings scoring every game for my fantasy team. So I'm going with another goal for Danny Ings, FC, and with a Ward-Prowse assist probably. But West Ham to run out victors. Man United just had a brilliant result against us, so they'll probably go and lose to Everton now, hence the 2-0. Wolves, Spurs. Wolves obviously drawing a lot, only lost twice this season, which is second least in the league, joint second in the league with Leicester. But I can't see them getting a draw against Tottenham, really. They're still getting the Mourinho boost, obviously. So routine win there for Spurs. And then Palace, Brighton. couldn't see much to split the two teams, so I've just gone with down the middle with a draw. So make sure you get your predictions in the Discord, and back to Andy.
Thanks, Ryan, and once again, a massive thank you for looking after the Premier League predictions table for the Discord channel. It's really appreciated. But anyway, we're going to move on. We're going to look at my predictions next. So these are mine. So starting off with the Liverpool versus Watford game. Well, if we take Liverpool, as we know, they are currently leading the Premier League table by 8 points, and nothing's really changing at the top of the table. Liverpool, last 5 games, have won all of them and are playing very, very well as it stands at the moment. Well, we've got top versus bottom this week, and sort of Watford halted their run of 3 losses. Their last 5 is a win, a loss, a loss, a loss, and then they got that draw. But they are still propping up the Premier League table with only 9 points, a massive minus 21 goal difference. And when you look at it, they've literally scored 9 goals, conceded 30, and I think this weekend that is only going to get worse for them. And the only winners I can see in this is a massive 3 points for Liverpool and a massive scoreline of Liverpool 4, Watford 0. On to Burnley versus Newcastle. Well, Burnley at home, we played really well against them, but it only showed in the second game that they played that they were awful again. I don't know what's happened to Burnley lately, but they're down now in 13th position on 18 points, and their last 3 games have all been losses. That's been a win, and then a loss, and a loss, and it's all going a bit Pete Tong for Burnley at the moment. So Newcastle flying high. I mean, doing really, really well at the moment. Their last 5 games have been a win, a loss, a draw, and then followed by 2 good wins. And they've jumped from, only a couple of weeks ago, they were just flirting in 17th place. They're now in 11th on 22 points. So, as it stands at the moment, they are 7 points clear of the drop zone. So they've had a really, really good run of form. But like I always do in the predictions, I keep saying a team might just turn it around a little bit. And I know Burnley have been in awful form, but I'm going to go Burnley at home will be quite strong. Newcastle away from home, not so strong. So I'm going to go for an even 1-1 draw. On to Chelsea versus Bournemouth. Well, Chelsea still holding that position in 4th. They're on 29 points. They've had a little bit of an in and out form over the last 5 games. A win, a loss, a win, and then another loss. So, I mean, if you take their last 5 games, 2 wins and 3 losses, it's sort of the progress has really sort of halted and stalled, let's say, all of a sudden. But they're in 4th. They're still 5 points ahead of United in 5th. Over to Bournemouth. Well, Bournemouth, as it stands at the moment, are probably, looking at the table, they are the worst, last 5 games, the worst formed team in the Premier League. I mean, they're having an absolute nightmare at the moment under Eddie Howe. Bournemouth are down in 15th position on 16 points. Their last 5 games, a loss, a loss, a loss, a loss, and yet another loss in the last game. It's just all going wrong for them. I don't know what it is, because they've got some good players there, but absolutely shocking form. Like I said, they're the worst team on form in the last 5 games in the whole of the Premier League. So for me, it's another 3 points for Chelsea being at home. I do think they'll possibly score, so I'm going to go for Chelsea 2, Bournemouth 1. On to Leicester. Well, Leicester, as we know at the moment, are absolutely flying. Last 5 games have all been wins. They're currently in 2nd on 38 points. I mean, you only have to look at how many goals they've scored this season. I mean, they've scored 39. They've only scored 1 less than Liverpool and only 5 less than Manchester City. I mean, obviously City have scored the most goals in the Premier League on 44. but they hold currently the record for the least number of goals against them. They've only had 10 against them this season on a goal difference of 29, which puts them at the top of the goal difference table, with Liverpool on the goal difference of 26 and City on 25. They're, let's say, 8 points behind Liverpool in second, and 6 points ahead of Manchester City, and they're just absolutely on fire. Whatever's happened this season, just Vardy's just suddenly sprung into life, and I'm going to go for, again, this time, Leicester. They're playing Leicester. If we take a look at, Norwich, my apologies, Norwich, they're playing this weekend. Norwich, just very, very in and out, very mixed. Their last 5 games, a loss, a win, a draw, a loss and a loss. They're second from bottom on 11 points with a minus 17 goal difference. So I can only see one winner in the Leicester versus Norwich game, and that is Leicester 3, Norwich 0. On to Sheffield United versus Aston Villa. Well, Sheffield United, who were in 5th, are now dropped to 8th, but they did halt that run of draws and a loss, and got a win last week, which keeps them in the hunt. They're in 8th on 22 points, a loss and a win. So they're holding their own. They're doing extremely well in the Premier League so far. Aston Villa, meanwhile, just everything's falling apart for them. They're down in 17th, 1 place above the drop zone on level points with Southampton on 15. So their last 5 games have been a loss, a win, a draw, a loss, and a loss. So what am I going to give for this one? Well, ironically, I'm going to actually even say the same as I did for Burnley Newcastle. I think Villa could get something out of it for some reason, and I'm going to stick with a draw. I'm going to go Sheffield United 2, Aston Villa 2. And to finish off the Saturday evening game, Southampton versus West Ham. I just cannot see this being an exciting game. Southampton currently lying 18th, 3rd from bottom on 15 points. Their last 5 games have been a loss, a draw, a win, and a loss, whilst West Ham are just 2 places ahead of them in 16th. They're on 16 points, and just you only have to look at it. A loss, a win, followed by 2 losses, and I'm not sure how much longer Manuel Pellegrini has got at West Ham, because the natives are very restless. So I think this potentially could be the most dire game of the weekend. So I'm going to go for a Southampton 1, West Ham United 1. On to Sunday, and the 2 o'clock kickoff, which is Manchester United versus Everton. Now, this could be a pretty entertaining game, only for the reason after a wonderful result for Everton the other night. So United are currently lying 5th. They're on level points with Wolves. But Ollie at the wheel has got 2 wins out the last couple of games. They're on 24 points, 5 points behind Chelsea in 4th. Their last 5 games have been a win, a draw, a win, and a win. So unbeaten in 5. So Ollie's actually is doing all right at the moment. But Everton, meanwhile, halted a run of 3 losses, and they're down in 14th, and that win last week. That 3 points is massive. Otherwise, they'd literally be back in 16th. So they're on 17 points, a win, a loss, and then that great victory the other night. With regards to this, I think that with Duncan Ferguson, I think that will give them that little bit of fight and spirit that's needed to go to Old Trafford. Even though I think United, after a wonderful result against us, for them, I'm still going to go that Everton will be right up for this game, and I'm going to go Man United 1, Everton 1. On to Wolves versus Spurs now. I could have put 4-4 here. I mean, it was going to be one of these games. Spurs tonight, I believe, when you're listening to this, I think they got beat in the Champions League. But it's Wolves versus Spurs. Could be anything this game. They are so close together in the Premier League table. Wolves currently in 6th on 24 points. Tottenham currently 7th on 23. If we look at Wolves' last 5 games, a win, a draw, a win, and a draw. Tottenham, a draw, a win, a loss, and a win. So they're very, very close. but Wolves are unbeaten in the last 4 games. So, Tottenham under Mourinho has had a couple of good results lately, but I'm gonna go for this as a tight one. And like I said, it could be 4-4, but I'm gonna stick with a Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, Tottenham 1. I'm going to skip the Arsenal one. We'll come back to that at the end and look at the Monday night game, and that is Crystal Palace versus Brighton. Now, Crystal Palace, as it stands at this moment in time, mid-table, they are currently in 10th on 22 points. The last 5 games have been a loss, a win, and a draw. So they are actually unbeaten in the last 3 games, where if we take a look at Brighton, Brighton have halted what was a horrendous run in the last 5 games. They're in 12th, so they're literally a couple of places below, 3 points behind Palace, and their last 5 has been a loss, a win, and a draw. So it's going to be one of those, I think. I think it's going to be a very tight game, and Brighton can be brilliant on the day. Palace can do amazing things, but I'm going to stick with another 1-1 draw, if I'm being honest, which leads me on to the last game I'm going to talk about today, and that is obviously the game that takes place on Sunday, 16:30 kickoff, and that is Arsenal versus Manchester City. So Arsenal, as it stands right now, are down in 9th position on 22 points. Their last 5 have been a loss, a draw, a loss, and a win. While ourselves, not much better, if I'm being honest, even though we are in 3rd on 32 points, a loss, a win, a draw, a win, a loss, very, very in and out of form. We're screaming for some consistency at the moment, and we're going to the Emirates, and I think I've heard many City fans say that if we were to get beat by Arsenal, that would be an embarrassment considering how they played. I don't think Arsenal have been that bad, but they're very inconsistent, and I'm really hoping that we can sort out the defence in this particular game, because we know we have been caught out on the break on numerous occasions over the last few games, and Arsenal certainly have a bit of pace in the likes of Lacazette and Aubameyang, and they just can do it on their day. But I'm still thinking City. I'm really got to be positive on this one, guys. I really have, and I'm gonna go Arsenal 1, Manchester City to bounce back and win this comfortably and scoring 4 goals. So Arsenal 1, Manchester City 4. That's my predictions for game week 17 of the Premier League predictions. So let's move on. And let's take a look at where the table's finished. The table finished after the 2 games that happened last week. So here is the table. And this, again, thank you, Ryan, for posting this. As we see now, Kiam is still top of the Discord Premier League predictions table on 94 points. I think he's possibly stretched his lead there. Ryan Corrie has jumped into 2nd on 85. Baron House is on 80. Bernard Deneen is on 4th on 78. Martin has jumped to 5th. He was 6th, I think, last week, but he's jumped back up into 6th on 72. Ethan Aspinall is on 71. Section 20 is on 61. Sargent is on 60. I'm sticking. I was 10th, but I've jumped to 9th last week, and I've stayed in 9th, 59. Callum is in 10th on 57. Dank City on 56. In 12th, we've got Ace King on 51. Mingy Wong is on 45. Alex is on 16. In 15th, we've got Rodrigo on 9. New one. Is that a new one? Or a change of name? 16th, we've got Darren on 9, Ashkith on 6, and Daniel De Bruyne in 18th on 6. 19th is Aguero's Cute. 20th, True Blue. 1972 in bottom place, propping up the Discord Premier League prediction table on 4. So anyway, guys, that's this week's predictions. What are your thoughts? Do you think one of us has gone too far to one side and another has gone too negative to the other? I don't know. It's entirely all about opinions. So get your predictions in. Don't forget, go over, if you're not already, join the Discord channel, the Man City Fan TV Discord channel. Don't forget, on there, that's where you'll find all the Premier League predictions, and Ryan Corrie looks after that side. And if you've not been on there before, go and join it, because we're going to be doing loads more on Discord. Maybe some regular live chats just for 20-30 minutes with all the presenters from Man City Fan TV, and you'll be able to ask us live questions and interact with other people. So, guys, I want to say a massive thank you to everybody who has joined the league, everybody who comments below the videos on there, giving us their predictions each week that goes along. Kiam, as it stands, still has a 9-point lead at the top of the table, but there's a long way to go. But anyway, this is Andy from Man City Fan TV. Thank you very much for all of your support on the channel. We're nearly at 11,000 subscribers. And don't forget, get your comments in, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon, that way you're notified when all the new videos come out. We'll be back next week and doing more Prediction League videos. And yeah, as usual, come on City, another 3 points.